Do you
Can you
have?
hear me?
I know.
All right, and we
Can
are
you guys hear
live,
me?
so I'm going to go ahead and mute.
Okay.
I can hear you, Jason.
Okay. I failed miserably last night. Crystal, I clicked the wrong thing and just threw myself completely out. So sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
We are live.
All right.
We are in presenter view. We
Okay.
are good to go. I am sharing it in the groups right now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Heather. I am just working on getting my sharing my screen.
This is like my third
'Cause I-
call today.
Oh, is it? Okay, here we go. Okay, welcome everybody. Thursday night, our Shredders Unite mindset call. This is a new thing that we started up. We're going to be doing this once a month where I will be hosting and inviting different guests to come on with me to discuss different topics, things that are more geared towards mindset. And so last week I got to have Susan Rothman on with me, and we talked all about emotional vibration, which I highly recommend you going back and listening to that, because I'm going to be referring to that a little bit as well today. But today I have Heather Sica-Leonard on with me. We're going to talk our Shreducator, and I made this PowerPoint for her because she's our teacher, and she's going to talk to. I'm going to start by sharing just a quick little thing that I put together, some tips and tricks that I have, because time management is actually one of my favorite topics, because I just really love planning. But I'm going to talk to you about my process of time management, all the things that I've learned over time, and where I'm at now with time management, because it was much different than it was like 10 years ago. And Heather would know, because she bought one of my day planners that I made a wannabe balanced day planner, like I think going on like 10 years ago. I made these planners because I was like so into like planning out my day and trying to balance everything with like kids and meal planning and all of that. So Heather actually bought one of my planners, and she sent me a picture the other day. It was so fun to remember. Heather's been one of my like biggest supporters on social media through all my blogging endeavors.
But won it in a wannabe challenge.
Oh yeah, that's right. You won the giveaway. Yeah, that was so fun. Okay, so I wrote down tons of notes because I have so many different things that I feel like I've learned over the years, and I wanted to make sure to cover a lot tonight. So I actually would recommend, if you guys really want to get a lot out of this call tonight, is get a notepad or a piece of paper and just take down some notes, because I feel like the things that I'm going to share might feel like overwhelming, and you might have a hard time remembering the different tips that I'm offering. So taking down some notes, I think today will be really beneficial as you go about trying to incorporate some new tools when it comes to planning out your week. Let's see. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Okay, introduced Heather. I have a bunch of questions that I'm going to ask Heather after I do my little spiel, share all the things that I've learned over the years. But mainly, the biggest thing I wanted to start with is, wait, why can't I? There we go. Is by starting with the mindset, of course, because it's not just, what I want to share tonight is not just like tips and tricks. It's really starting with the mindset. And I think it's a really, really important piece to start with, because what we believe about time can have a huge impact on how we go about our day, how we use our time. So like, what things are we constantly saying? Like, never enough time in a day. I'm so busy. I'm such a procrastinator, so scattered all the time. I'm ADD. A lot of people say that, like, I can't focus, and so much to do, so little time. And, I think all of us have been guilty of saying this. And I say guilty because I don't think we realize that the things that we say to ourselves over and over, we don't realize the effect that it's having on how we feel and how we plan our days. And we're pretty much falling in line with everything that we say constantly. Like, there's never enough time in a day. If you keep saying that, there will never be enough time in a day. So, and if you always describe yourself as so busy, you will always be a busy person. So let's start with our mindset and recognize how we describe ourselves when it comes to managing our time, and just try to make that your number one goal, to just resist the urge to say it. Like, I know it's something that it takes time to stop believing this, but the first step to stop believing these things about yourself is to resist the urge to voice it. So that's like step number one. If we can stop saying it, then over time it will become less and less a part of us, and then it will naturally just dissolve. And because we're going to be so focused on how our new ways of describing ourselves, like, I'm very efficient, some things that I say, one of my beliefs is that I try to practice is that as long as I'm taking daily action, however big or small, I will always find the time to get it all done. And the more I tell myself that, the more it just things seem to flow. I don't feel as overwhelmed and stressed and constantly on the move. And I feel like things do always get done. Okay. So like I said, how we identify ourselves will have a direct impact in how we show up in life. And one thing that I did want to mention is just a little analogy that I thought of that also applies to what Heather and Susan were talking about on Tuesday night. About, like falling off the wagon, and when it comes to our diet, but also I think we run into the same problems when it comes to time management, when we kind of shame ourselves for not following through with the things that we planned for the week, or not getting the things done that we said we were going to get done, getting too distracted from social media, spending way too much time on social media, and we pile on shame. And a lot of times we have a plan for the day, and then we end up wasting 2 hours doing random things that were not part of your plan. And then oftentimes we end up just throwing in the towel for the rest of the day, and we're like, never mind, I'll try to start tomorrow, just like with our diet. So the way I like to envision this, that creates far less shame for ourselves, and it just becomes a game, is to literally compare it to a video game. And like, I don't play video games, but growing up, there was one video game that I was really good at, and I played it a lot. Super Mario. So I loved that game, and I was trying to. This thought just came to my mind when I compare it to just life in general, and feeling like we're failing in either our diet, our planning, or relationships, feeling like we're doing the same thing over and over and never making progress. And we tend to pile shame on ourselves for not achieving these things, or not doing it perfectly. And what I've found is when I compare my life to a video game, it feels so much lighter and not so serious. And when I say, so imagine, all the different levels that we play in Super Mario, and sometimes we have to play the levels so many times before we can actually pass it. And when I like to compare it to a video game, because there is no real reward. It's just fun. Like, if you can just have fun and play the game, figure out some new tricks and things as you go along, and every time you get killed, you start back at the beginning. Don't beat yourself up because you learn some things. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have jumped so short at that spot, and then I fell down the ditch, or I needed to jump faster so I could jump over that mushroom guy, or dodge the fireballs, So every time you play the round, you're learning something new. And when you imagine your life that way, you don't beat yourself up so much about, the week passing and you're just like, I don't feel like I got anything done. And then you just pile on all the shame and you call yourself a procrastinator and all these things. So let's just stop doing that and stop taking things so seriously. See it as a video game. What did you learn from that week? And try again next week. So some of the things that help me when planning, I want to show you my plan. So these are a list of things that I wanted to talk about, these little points, but this is my Google Planner. I love using Google Planner because I like to color code. I like that it's also on my phone and it can be everywhere. And so this is what my week looks like before I start filling it in. But I'll go through and I'll explain all the different things. So this is like on Sunday night or Monday morning, I'll try to plan out my week. And my number one piece of advice when planning is to do it like last week I talked about the emotional vibration, and I think that it will be most effective to plan your week once you are or when you are in a higher vibration. You don't want to plan your week when you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling upset for any reason, you're feeling discouraged. Let's not plan from that space. And the quickest way to raise your vibration is to do a quick little meditation, like even 5 or 10 minutes. Do a meditation before you start planning your week, because it's a way to drop all the thoughts and the fears and the worries and the stress that you have. And you can kind of raise your vibration. And as you raise your vibration, like I talked about last month, it opens your mind to see things a lot more clearly. And there's another visual that I thought of last night as I was thinking about this call. And when I think about how we are able to raise our vibration, this is how I envision it. Imagine we're like underwater and we're trying to see under the water without goggles. So we're looking, and you know how things are just a little bit blurry. You can't breathe underwater. So I imagine that we have all these weights on us holding us underwater. So you can't see that great. You can't breathe. You can't, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the sound, and the sound is muffled. So a lot of things are just we're not seeing things clearly. So once we set into a meditation and we focus on releasing ourselves from the thoughts in our mind, then it's like dropping the weights 1 pound at a time until we begin to rise to the surface and our head suddenly pops out of the water and we can see clearly and we can hear better and accept all the senses are much more helpful. So that's why I think that it's essential that we are in a very good space when we plan, because planning your week can be the best part of your week. I get so excited to fill in all the spaces, but again, not over planning. I don't want to stress people out by, having to fill in every little spot in your calendar. But I like to fill things in with like you can see, I have like sunshine and grounding and cold plunge. Like I like to even put that in my calendar so that I can remember to take time for self-care or for resting. That's my resting, like relaxation, my mid meditation time, because I try to do that in the morning as well. And then I do it, try to get real centered and present, being outside, getting vitamin D and connecting to the earth. It's like my lunch meditation, my lunchtime meditation, and then try to do it before bedtime as well. And I like to have a morning routine, which basically consists of a list of things that I just give myself, a couple hours. It depends. I put it at 6 a.m, but I don't always get up at 6 a.m. I just have that, as a tentative plan that if I wake up at 6 a.m, I just start working down this morning routine list, and I don't even have a time limit for each thing. I try to go with the flow when it comes to the list. So it's like meditation, writing, reading a book, things like that. And so with the focus time, that kind of goes together with the eliminate distractions, because that's the time where I really want to accomplish something or have completed a project. So it's not like I kind of go into it with a mindset of, this is the project I'm going to complete. And so like some of the things that I put in that focus time. So eliminating distractions during this focus time, this is the time where you're just going to, don't let yourself get on social media and check your notifications, turn your phone upside down or turn it on silent, put it far away. Because I know we still need to receive phone calls sometimes from family. So I can't like turn it on airplane mode necessarily unless I plan ahead and tell Sean like, hey, I'm going in here, you be in charge. My phone's going on airplane mode. So I will have no distractions. Close out your email, do everything possible to protect this focus time and get that project done, whatever it is. So for me, it's like, it would be something like a podcast, record and edit and share a podcast. Trying to think of other things, like just different things that I'm preparing for, or preparing for this call. I would set aside that focus time and spend the 2 to 3 hours really focusing on what the project that I want to complete during that time. And I know that everybody has different schedules as well. You have to work during the day. So I want to be mindful of that as well. But when it comes to your work day, things that you need to do at work, this Google Calendar can also be helpful depending on what job title you have. So the weekly introspection, I think, is one of the most valuable things that you can do, because that's why we begin to shame ourselves for not following through with our plan, because we're not doing the introspection. We're not finding out what went wrong. Why didn't we complete the things that we said that we were going to do? Why aren't we committing? And as we take the time, and I like to do that on Friday, to really take a look at my week and ask myself a few questions, and I'll talk about those in just a second. Ask myself those questions, and that way I can go into my next week planning knowing some of my pitfalls, some things that I need to adjust, and how I can try again, how I can try that Mario board again and see if I can do it just a little bit better than the previous week. Okay, so and one thing I do want to talk a lot about, and I think I'm going to save that for Heather when I ask her to come on, because one of my questions for Heather is, is going to be about social media and managing our time on social media, because when we posted the questions for us to prepare for this call, we found a lot of people feeling overwhelmed with social media, having a hard time balancing that, which I know is something that we are all struggling with. Social media, it feels like an important place to be, especially for what we're trying to do with ER Shred. We want to support people. We love being part of this community, and we value everybody's time so dearly, and we appreciate everybody who's spending time in the group. So in no way do I want to say like, stop showing up in the group, but we're going to figure out some ways that we can have a little more balance when it comes to Facebook and all the things that we think that we need to be doing. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a minute, because really there's a lot that goes into the whole social media thing. And I have a lot to share, because I have been spending the last 12 years or so blogging. And well, it was like blogging was the thing back when I started, and then it evolved into like a YouTube channel, and then Instagram, and then a podcast. So I have spent so much time trying to manage time on social media, because everything that I've been pursuing is like all social media. And I have a lot to share, because it's taken me like a decade to learn some good boundaries when it comes to social media. Oh, one of my best tips that I can offer today is the plan B. And I saw people asking about like how to, when life happens, we know that like you get a phone call from one of your kids, need to come home, they're sick, they need to come home, or somebody in the family needs something, or there's all kinds of things that come up, and we absolutely have to be flexible with these things. That's why I have a plan B. So because I don't want the whole day, just because one thing interrupts my flow and my schedule. And I know how this goes because I've done it many times where I'm like, well, I just it has to be perfect. And I already missed that hour and the whole day's ruined, So now what I do is I have a plan B, which is I call it just my 30-minute list. There's I have it on my phone. It's the reminders app that I think comes with the iPhone. And I've just created a whole bunch of lists because I love lists. But I realized when I was doing it on paper, they were everywhere and I got overwhelmed, and I would write it upstairs and then I'd be downstairs. I'm like, wait, what's on my list? And I have to go run upstairs to grab my list. And so, we always have our phones with us. So I have like 10 different lists. I have like a grocery list, after school activities list, things I want to do with my kids when they get home, meals list, things I want to make for meals, my high vibe list, just a list of things that I do to help, throughout the day to raise my vibration, because that's one of my biggest goals this year, is to be mindful of where I'm at vibrationally and do just little things that can slightly raise that. That's all I want to do. And then I have just my regular to-do list, and then I have my 30-minute list. And my 30-minute list is just things that I'm going to do for only 30 minutes. And I do that. I just cycle through this list as much as I can until the day's over, because if I wasn't able to stick with my plan, it's okay. I have these things that are on my Google calendar are on repeat, and I go in and I edit them. Like the focus time, I'll click on that, and in the notes, I write like a list of things that I'm going to do in like full description. Either it's like a little to-do list or it's a project that I'm going to complete. And so I click on the focus time and I know what I'm going to be doing that week. And I have that repeat every single Monday, every single Tuesday. If you know Google Calendar, you understand all the different features. But once you play around in Google Calendar, it's not that complicated, and you'll see how easy it is to use. But I will have that focus time be repeated for next week, because if I didn't get to that project, it's okay, because I'm going to do it next Monday, because I had to go through with plan B because one of my kids was sick or something happened. So, and I'm not upset about it. I'm just like, that's okay. I'll get to it next Monday, or I'll move that focus time over to the following day if I feel like I can fit it in. But so my 30-minute list is clean the house, because that is something that I'm always needing to do. There's always dishes, laundry, things that I need, picking up the kids' stuff because they need to help me, right, Joyce? People just expect me to clean up all their stuff. And then I have just time that I want to spend with my kids. So if they're home, I have that as my 30-minute, like, okay, I'm going to focus on my kids for this 30 minutes and we're going to play a game. We're going to do some homework, or I'll just sit and talk with them. And then the last thing is my meal prep or dishes, because I feel like dishes, there's constantly dishes. So making food and doing dishes, that's my 30-minute list that I just cycle through, and that's my plan B. Okay, let me just make sure I covered everything that I wanted to about that. The weekly introspection, for those of you who are taking notes, I wanted to share some of the questions you can ask yourself. So, did I do what I said I was going to do? What 3 things can I celebrate? And what did I accomplish this week? So, of course, you guys all know that this is going up on the ER Shred podcast. So if you need to go back and listen to this again, then just know that it will be available on YouTube and the podcast. Okay, the next question is, what 3 things do I want to get done next week? Keep it simple. That's the one thing that I love about ER shred and how it plays out in so many different areas of our life, eliminate and reset and shred. Like, well, even shed works, like shed those things that are overcomplicating your life. One last thing I wanted to finish the questions. What filled me with enthusiasm today? What drained me of energy? And what did I learn about myself? So those are just some questions that you can ask yourself to get this whole, to really understand what is it to learn about yourself. We're going to figure out like where are your weak spots, and how can you improve them? What sets you off track? Knowing the things that drain you of your energy and that give you the energy is really, really important, because you might be doing things during your week that is completely draining you of your energy, and you don't even realize that you have the choice to let it go or even to outsource it, or to find a solution of a better way. And so, like Joyce, we were talking about before this call, and I was sharing the other day how like I get really overwhelmed with clutter, and I feel like I don't do a good job at asking everybody to pick up their stuff. I just do it. And so as time goes on and I keep doing it, and I'm just like, oh, they just think I'm their slave. They leave their shoes everywhere, their socks, there's things everywhere. And I just start to get really angry. But what I don't realize is that I'm the one that created that, because I'm not taking the time to ask my kids to do it. So when I see that I'm spending way too much time cleaning up after other people, I can just continue to be mad about it and continue to keep cleaning up after everybody, or I can think of a solution and start talking to my kids a little bit more about it. So that's what I've been trying to do lately, because I realize that I do spend a huge majority of my day cleaning up after everybody, and I never get to my projects, the things that I want to work on. And so I had to sit down with each of my kids and explain to them in a kind way, not in a angry, like cleaning up their stuff, like, oh, you guys, like that's not effective. So I have to tell them, it's really, I have a lot of things that I would like to do, but I feel like I'm constantly cleaning up after you guys. Like, it's just little things. Like each of them, they don't realize that it's just a little bit of things here and there, but then it's 5 people. I'm including Sean because I got 4 kids, but he leaves this stuff around too. Yeah, 5 kids. And I have to tell them, like, can you please like pick up your shoes and the socks and this, because when you combine 5 people's stuff, that's like adding to the amount of time that I have to spend. So this is just what I'm saying. This is my experience and things that I have to look at and say, where's all my time going? Oh my gosh, I am spending a lot of time cleaning up after people. And what's my solution to help me when I'm planning for my next week? So let's see. The last thing I wanted to share before I have Heather join me.
I actually want to jump in on what you said, because that's one of the things I want to talk about too, because I've got DJ, the shred community knows him, and my husband has flat surface syndrome, which is everything has a flat surface. That's where anything belongs. Yes. That's what I call it. I call it the flat surface syndrome. So that's he has his space for that. And I agree with you. It's not only asking them when we need it, but then the other thing that I struggle with, and I'm guessing you probably do as well, is that we need to let it happen the way they're going to do it. One of the things that would suck my energy is that I would ask DJ to do something, and he's 7. He's not doing it to my type A style.
Totally.
But it got done his way. So pause. Was it done to your liking? No. But was it done good enough for today? Yeah. And so stop and delegate and let the delegation happen, because my husband used that against me.
Oh, he's like, well, you don't like how I do it anyway. So
exactly. So it was loading the dishwasher, right? I like to maximize the space in the dishwasher. but I would ask him to do it. And then when the dishwasher would be done, he would see that I had rearranged the dishwasher to fit more stuff in it. So if you're just going to redo what I've done, why am I going to do it? So I have learned to accept it, however it comes, and then let go. Because your time management was to delegate it, enforce that it was delegated, and let it be done the way that you've delegated it. Whoever you delegated it to decides to do it, let them do it their way.
Yes, that is such a great point, because that can be very challenging.
And then you're not managing
for people like
you're redoing.
Yeah. So it's like, what's the point of even asking them to do it if you're going to redo it? So thank you, Heather. That was perfect, because you're right. We do have to allow them to do it their way if we're going to accept their help. But one thing I did want to say, one last thing, is that I do love the concept of ER shred in other areas of our life, because when we think about planning our week, I think the best way to go about this is get down to a baseline. Let's let everything go for 11 days or 11 weeks, let's just like experiment here, and let's see how many things we can let go, get down to a baseline, and then we can start adding things back to our calendar, because that will help us be more aware of the things that are not really that effective, which is what Heather and I are going to talk about next, which is the social media thing, which I want to touch on that really quick. And then I have some questions for Heather, and I want you to add to what I say about social media. But so one thing that I realized was that I was consuming so much information about how to build an Instagram account, how to do YouTube, how to sell on Facebook. Like, it's all these how-tos when it comes to social media. And I just like soaked in all the information, soaked it in. And I was trying to do it all. I was trying to do every single platform, because people tell you, you got to be on Facebook, you got to be on Instagram, you got to be on YouTube, you got to have a podcast, you got to do live videos, you got to post every single day. It's like, there's all these things that these like social media gurus or people who are like influencers will teach us about how to be effective on social media. And, I know a lot of you are trying to share the shred on social media, trying to build your business there. But I want you guys to really take some time for introspection around what you're doing on social media when it comes to your business, because are these things just things that you're doing because somebody told you that you should do it? And are these things actually helping you? Is it effective? Like, are you able to engage with people about ER shred? Are people asking you more about it because of your posts? Because sometimes we are doing this huge list of things that we think we're supposed to be doing on social media to be effective and to build our brand or to share the shred. And we don't realize how much time we're wasting because we're doing these things that are not effective. They might be effective for other people. They might have been effective a few years ago, but things are always changing. We have to have that innovator's mind, and we have to eliminate as much of those things as possible and focus on one thing at a time for 11 days or 11 weeks. Decide, what is that one thing that I'm going to focus on? Is it going to be live videos? Is it going to be, a YouTube or podcast, doing my posts, writing out posts, getting pictures? And I think that this is another thing, is spending far too much time writing out a post, getting the perfect picture to go with it. Like, how much time are you spending on that? And is it actually effective? Because what I thought was so important all these years trying to build Instagram and all these things is like, you got to post every single day. You know how draining that was for me and how ineffective that really was? Like, it didn't really do all that much for me. It's just somebody told me I was supposed to do it. And so I did it.
No,
and I
'cause
wasted
have
so much time. So I realized that, or there's like the TikToks, and there's so many things that we feel like, oh, now it's TikTok, oh, now we got to do this, and we don't realize that we are just piling things onto our list and thinking that we're supposed to be everywhere on social media. But what I would suggest is, of course, setting a timer, and because I love that you guys are participating in the group, but we should have a time limit and stick to that time limit, because it can really eat up your day. And I think you can be actually more effective when you're focused, like you focus, like this is my 30 minutes that I'm going to really focus on engaging in the group, supporting people. I'm not going to get distracted by what's in my news feed, the ads in the side, like there's things that are always pulling us different directions. And we need to try to have more discipline on focusing on, okay, the next 30 minutes, I'm going to go into the ER Shred group, nowhere else. And I'm going to spend, 15 to 30 minutes in there and see what I can, if I go in there to support, I support. If I go in there because I need some motivation, I find, go look through the resources. So it's a matter of planning your week and being intentional about how much time you're going to spend on social media and what you're going to be doing on social media. It's important to get down to the details when it comes to this. And then, but yeah, anyway, let's bring our Shreducator on, and I want to hear what you have to say about social media, and then I have some other questions for you.
Sure, I got you on that one. And I don't know that I have all the answers either, but I agree with you. When you're going into social media, you need to know what your purpose is. Maybe it's 5 minutes going and commenting and giving feedback in the group. Maybe it's 5-10 minutes going through your news feed to figure out who's sharing something that you have a solution for. Are they sharing some kind of health crisis? Are they sharing? And then are you spending 5 minutes in Messenger, 5-10 minutes in Messenger, checking in with your people to know? But again, if you go in with the purpose, and then this is where Susan's in my head, right? Because we know she's in my head. And if I realize time is going by and hey, what the hell are you still doing in here? Are you still following your purpose? If not, knock it off and get out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know whose voice that is that can interrupt you until you interrupt yourself, and stick to those time limits, stick to those timers you set yourself. And I'm not the best at it, because as the one who posted the guides, my notifications go insane because everyone commenting and tagging, and I've shut notifications off for certain guides.
Smart.
Because otherwise it's too much for me.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to a couple of other things that you were talking about and how time management and ER Shred go hand in hand. One of the things that I heard in a book, so I was listening to, I forgot the name of it already, The Most Successful People Before Breakfast. What the most successful people do before breakfast, right? I listened to that book because I don't have a lot of time to sit with a book, but I will have an audiobook playing when I'm doing my chores, when I'm driving to work. I'm finding those pockets for that. And one of the things that they said was crowd out the bad habits. We crowd out the bad foods with the good food, crowd out the energy suck things that you've identified by doing things that are purposeful, intentful, and are getting you closer to your goal. And then you crowd out those bad behaviors, and all of a sudden you don't have time for them. So when you're saying I don't have time, well, don't make time for the things that are sucking your time. Crowd them out by moving in intention and purpose. So
I love that.
That is something that I definitely recommend. Another thing, so 15 years in education, I've come up with a lot, right? Routines are so important. You've got your calendar. I've got certain routines I follow. I'm to the point now, I do it in school as well. Like when a student walks in my room, it's February. I don't have to be in the room. They know what the routine is. They know what the expectation is. An administrator actually walked in my room today to ask me a question. And I was just logging attendance on my computer, and all my kids were in doing what they were supposed to be doing. She's like, wait a minute, the bell just rang today to ask me a question. They know. Oh, hold on. There we go. Got it. They knew what to do because the routine was there. And what I learned by going slow with these kids and establishing the routine, I've gained hours of class time come the spring semester. So somebody had shared a comment about wanting to learn the tools and wanting to spend time in the tools, but wanting to build their business. Sometimes, in my opinion, you have to go slow to go fast. So if you spend the time to learn the tools, then come the time you've got 10 shredders, it's not going to take you hours to find that tool. You know where it is. It's going to take you minutes. Now, I know I'm in a different league than other people with the guides because I'm the one who put them there. But if you spend time and you start to learn, okay, guide 8 is holistic corner. That's where I'm going to find natural solutions from Susan. Guide 1 is getting ready for the shred. I know guide 2 is those 11 days. So even if you're not sure exactly what post it is, if you're familiar with what's in there, you can narrow it down. Because I did think systemically, I did think curricularly as I was building the guides, like there's a scope and sequence to the shred, just like there's a scope and sequence in my classroom. And so there was a lot of that was going on. You know, I shared with you a couple nights ago when we were talking, I have a scope and sequence of testing for my students. And this required me to build 40 assessments, right? So I spent 4.5 hours preloading myself with these assessments. But that was 7 years ago. I am still using the same assessment today, and it's set up that it automatically grades the test and gives the kids their score within 30 seconds of it being done. So my 4.5 hours gave me instant feedback to appease my parents, and it's automatically running. So if you dig in and go slow in the beginning, the stuff comes faster at the end. And you really do save time. It's like building a house, right? You're building your business on your foundation. Invest in that foundation so it's solid and quality. So that way, when you're building it, it's not going to come crumbling down with your foundation. Spend the time in the guides, listen to the videos, listen to it. And you said something about time management too. You know, sometimes depending on where you live and what time zone you're in, these calls fall in that primary time spot, right? To connect with your people. Mm-hmm. So use your judgment, use your intuition. You know, you want to bring your people here. That's an active business building thing, to bring your guests on Wednesday night and be there to cheer them on, to share their story, because you're leading them by example on how to do it. But maybe you're working on connecting that week. So maybe that week you're not live because somebody else is filling in on who's the guest and sharing, but you catch that call the next morning, because the more information you know, the faster you can connect somebody to a story. So like if I know, like I saw a post today and I haven't gotten to respond to it, but I automatically thought of Adam's story because they were talking about injuries and inflammation. And instantly my brain went to Adam Sisk. And I want to connect them to that story, but I knew that story well enough to know, hey, check this out. So if you invest, then all of a sudden you don't have to work so hard. Does that make sense?
That is such a good point. And I like that you mentioned like being really intentional about the calls. Because I know that we have a lot of them, and Lenny's going to be starting up one too. And I'm just so excited about that. So we have calls almost every night of the week, feels like, and that can feel overwhelming because we want everybody to be there. And I know you all want to be there. You want to, you know, it's very important for you, but you also have to be very selective, I think, when it comes to which ones you can be on live. Are you going to have a guest with you? And they are always on the podcast or YouTube. So you can catch up with all of them and you can listen to it on 1.5 speed. You know, you can get all the information, you can stay connected, know everybody's story, because that's what's so beautiful about these calls is we're really learning about everybody in the community. So I do think that they're very valuable and important for us to participate in. But if you can't make it live, go listen to it on 1.5 times on YouTube or the podcast. And you have this connection because now you know more about the people in the community, you know their story, And like you said, then it's in your mind too. You can connect people who have similar stories, like Adam Sisk, you know. So as you are staying connected and knowing everybody's stories, and it can be really effective and beneficial as you make, you know, connect people with each other who are in the similar situations.
Right. And even establishing those routines for yourself too. I think that's important. And, you know, you said always have that plan B. So one of the things that I heard in the book that I listened to the other day is, you know, set your intentions, find your time, your prime time. So for me, that routine is I'm up at 4. I drink my Amped Hydrate, my butter coffee, and then I read a meditation. Then I've got my 30-minute workout. Then I'm showering and off to school. I'm in my classroom by 6:15, 6:20 in the morning. And people are like, Heather, why are you in the building that early? There is nobody there to interrupt me. So from 6:20 to 7, because that's when I start my rehearsal. Because yes, children show up at my school for 7 a.m. because they are rock stars and they want to come in. But I can get lesson plans and assessments and everything done for my day in that focused 30 to 40 minutes because I was active, my brain was functioning, I had my butter, I had my electrolytes, I was good to go. And then I have a 37-mile drive to work. So that's when I got rid of my Sirius XM radio and I got Libby, Libby. It is an app to download audiobooks from your library for free. So I look at personal development books. I look at books around the nutritional protocol, things on personal growth and mindset. But it's about 45 minutes, depending on my day, that I'm listening to a book to school. So I'm doing my personal growth in those pockets of time because I don't have time. So it's not an excuse, it's maximizing the time. Then I'll get my lesson done and school stays at school. I refuse to bring it home. So I am there laser focused that my lesson planning and my routines, and again, I have built tools, right? So I have slide decks and I just copy the slide deck and change the component of the routine. And it takes me about 10 minutes to lesson plan for my day on a normal day. This dual curriculum thing is challenging me a little bit, but my regular life. And so there you're talking plan B. Well, I've got to teach 2 classes at the same time. I have to shift gears and I have to let go of some of those routines and be okay with that. But flip side, when I have those pockets of time and they appear in my day, rarely, but they do, what can I preload so I'm ready when that plan B happens and it doesn't interrupt me? So we had this 2.5-hour day the day before Christmas break, right? 2.5 hours, all the kids are doing is playing games and watching movies, right? So what am I doing while they're watching a movie? I made 7 days worth of sub plans. So that way, should DJ get sick and I have to be home, it's a quick post. Here's the link. Here's your assignment for the day. Here's your task. So my plan B happened, but it didn't derail me and make me panic for the day. And we have 3 different plans in place for a delayed opening for me versus him versus me. And we're prepared. So it may interrupt me and ruin my mindset for the moment, but then we're ready to shift into plan A, B, and C. And it's okay. And that is something I have really struggled to let go because I am very type A.
Yes.
I am. I don't know if any of you could see that from but
I haven't noticed.
Some of my personal growth, I have shred a lot of that in this system, like allowing DJ to do his things. I am grateful the garage is up because flat surface syndrome can go outside and it's not my headache anymore. And I'm allowing that to not be my problem.
Yeah.
It's really important to accept, take a breath, and let go. Because if you focus on what flipped out of your routine, it's going to slow everything down during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to lose your focus. You're going to lose your energy. And going back to some of the questions that you posted, you know, I'm a procrastinator, I can't do this, I don't have enough time. I challenge you to finish that sentence with yet. Put
Yeah.
yourself in a growth mindset that you're working on it, and interrupt that sentence by adding yet to the end and get yourself moving towards that next goal.
I love that. And it's, yeah, growth mindset. It's all about the growth mindset and really identifying. I think like it goes back to last month's call with the emotional vibration. I think that if we are, and I know so many of you, who are, you're all doing this, the ER shred, and we all see it. We all agree it feels very much like a high vibe diet. The diet has literally allowed us to raise our vibration. We've dropped some of those weights literally and we're rising above the water. Now things become more clear, and as we continue, we want to continue focusing on raising our vibration, or just identifying where we are, because like you and Susan, when you talked about in your call, identifying what are your triggers, where you are emotionally, and because triggers can not only mess up our diet, but can also mess up our plans, because we can, instead of, we have many different things that we resort to. It's snacks or food, but it's also social media, wasting time scrolling through or watching Netflix, something, it's, yeah, we're all, I'm trying not to say guilty of it, because I don't want there to be any guilt. So I'm trying not to use the word guilt anymore in my language, because I don't think that guilt is useful at all. So I know that I do this. Yeah. I just want to say I'm aware that I do this. I don't want to say I'm guilty of it, but I am aware that I do this, and aware of what my triggers are, and that I sometimes pull up my phone, I start scrolling TikToks. I'm like, whoa, how long have I been spending watching TikToks,
And I think that too can also line into your priorities. So when you're doing that, find the things in your day that bring your energy up, and make sure they're priorities on your to-do list. So like, I know for me, going and like moving in the morning brings my energy up. It brings my clarity up, which brings my productivity up. And therefore it takes me less time to do other things. A priority for me, my fitness classes are my social time. Like the girls at the gym and we have running jokes, and I'm dying. And they know I have a t-shirt that I had to wear the other night to class. These are not swears. These are my workout words. And we've just accepted that that's our community, and it's totally fine. And when DJ goes, I have to pay him a lot of money, but he charges me $1 a bad word. But it brings my vibration up. It brings my sense of connection and my sense of community up. And then it makes me want to help more. So what are those things? Then don't make the excuse to take them out. For this morning, I didn't want to get up because I knew going into our day, there were going to be some staffing challenges and some things. And so 4 o'clock sometimes can really suck, right? 4 a.m. is rough. And so I'm laying there in bed.
I wouldn't know.
DJ's up by 5.
Oh my gosh.
Every day he's up by 5. It just, yeah. But
wow.
I'm laying in bed and I'm arguing with myself. I'm like, oh, last night's workout was rough. Do I really have to get up? But I know when I don't get up and move, I don't get as much done in that first hour in the building. How much sleep do I get? Maybe 6.5 hours if I'm lucky. But I'm okay. Like when
I think also that's one thing that we should take note of is the sleep. We know is very, very important, but I'm also learning that everybody's amount of sleep and needs are different.
Mhm.
So if you are thriving and feeling good on 6.5 hours of sleep, which
Yeah.
it seems like you are just on top of things, you have energy, you're doing your workouts. So to me, it's like evidence that you, Heather Sica-Leonard, can do 6.5 hours of sleep.
Right. And it's how I sleep too. Even that has shifted. Right.
Mm.
I used to fall asleep watching Netflix. Now I fall asleep with a meditation playing on YouTube, like a sleep meditation to raise your vibration, or a sleep meditation for whatever I'm working on in my personal growth journey. I'll find a meditation around that and have that be playing. And with that, I'm usually out within 10 minutes. That and the sleep spray, and I'm good.
Perfect.
So I don't hunt or fish. Well, I have fished in my backyard, but I won't do that for me.
Yeah.
Because I was getting up at 4:30, and then somebody, we won't mention any names, Jesse James Jamnick, told me I had to get up 30 minutes earlier to have a better workout based on needing to do the hydrate and coffee and let those sit in my system before I started moving.
Oh. Dang.
So the first couple of mornings at 4:00, he was getting some not nice messages from me, but yes. Yeah, it was a tablespoon of honey, a thing of amped hydrate, and a butter coffee, and then wait 15 more minutes and then work out. That's what he told me. And
nice.
Of course, I listened. Bad idea.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
He does know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I will give him that, even though I give him a hard time. He's my brother from another mother, right, Joyce?
Yeah. Well, this has been so much fun. I feel like we covered a lot of great information. And I think we addressed a lot of the questions that people posed in the group when we asked, like, what are your biggest struggles with time management? And if we have missed any of you, if you feel like you still have questions, we would love to continue this conversation in the comments on the live Facebook group that's going on right now. And then again, I encourage you to go re-listen to this and the vibration one that I did last month, just because it all ties together. And I think the questions that I think you should be asking yourselves for that weekly introspection can be really valuable. So go and re-listen just to get those questions, and make that your number one goal, to set aside 1 hour every 2 hours, 1 hour to plan your week. After you raise your vibration, do a quick little meditation, drop all the emotions, the overwhelm, the feelings that you're having that are making you want to plan from a good space. And then at the end of the week, do that introspection and find out what happened, how you can go into your next week with new tools, because you've learned some things about yourself from the previous week. So each week is just going to get better and better. Remember, no shame, no guilt. Let's just keep trying and having fun playing this video game.
Yep. Been there, done that. And we're just going to keep growing. Remember, the keyword is yet.
Yes. I love that. Thank you so much, Heather. This has been a lot of fun. And I appreciate all of you who have joined us live on Zoom, and also for those of you watching on Facebook. We'll see you next month.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Heather. Weekly.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you.